so fun and wonderful and uplifting to see you all. So thank you. Let's begin vocation that we've been working on. And Biddy, I hope you got these handouts. So this is the invocation. It's titled Invocations and Prarthana Shlokaha. Today, I'm just going to chant all the way through it so you get a sense of the rhythm and the melody and how it goes. And I'd like you to join in. And then at the end, if there's one verse in particular that you'd like us to do in call and response, we'll do that. But then I wanted to move forward into other things. But I thought it would be nice. And join in, of course, you'll be muted, but join in at any time, even if you want to try out the sounds, even if you don't know it. Okay, so it's the verse, it's the invocation that begins Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum. Do you all have that? Okay.
What's the file name, Leslie?
Actually, the name of the page is Invocations in Prarthana Shlokaha.
It was in last week's email. It was attached.
Oh, we have it from
Yes,
last week.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Patty. I'm afraid to go to it to look it up because I'm afraid I'll lose this.
Okay.
But you have it. You have it, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the invocations, and it's 2 pages. And the second page starts with Kshama Shlokaha. Have you been printing these out, or are you reading them on your computers? Everyone just.
Maybe it wasn't included in the email. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, I think it's the June 21st invocation. It says June 20. That's the one.
So that's the one that the title of the file is June 21 Invocations. Even if you don't have it written in front of you, listen and chant along to your heart's content or not, as you see fit. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnu Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanan Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye Yasya Dviradavaktrayaha Parishadya Parashatam Vignan Nignanti Satatam Vishvaksenantamashraye Jnananandamayan Devam Nirmalaspatika Kratim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivamupassmahe Pundarikaasanasinam Andurabhrendusannibham Akhanda Bodhajanakam Hayagrivamupassmahe Gurubhyastad Gurubhyascha Namo Vakamadhimahe Vranimahe Chatatradyau Dampati Jagatam Pati Shri Krishna Vagisha Yatishvarabhyam Samprapta Chakrankana Bhashyasaram Shri Nutnarangendra Yatau Samarpita Svam Shri Krishna Maryam Guru Varyamide Virodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Krito Dayam Yogacharyam Krishna Maryam Guru Varyamaham Bhaje Shishyakam Krishna Maryasya Nathavam Shapradipakam Kalyana Gunarupantam Shri Deshikam Namamyaham Prashanta Purushakaram Viniyoga Pracharakam Vishesha Vaidikam Surim Tandeshikam Smaram Yaham Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So if anyone has a request for one verse only, not per person, just the first person gets it. Or if you don't have any requests, that's all right. But if there's any verse from what we just did that you'd like to do, let us know. You can unmute yourselves.
Leslie?
Yes.
One thing that occurred to me that can be confusing is that we don't do the usual changes at the end of people's names in these chants, like the Krishnamacharya and Desikachar. So I didn't know if that might have been confusing to anyone. I know it was to me when I first started learning these.
So can you give us an example?
Right. Just picking one out. The
and name the verse. Like, is it dedication to Krishnamacharya or dedication to TKV Desikachar, or is it one of the others?
It's just in those two that I'm familiar with. So even in, like, for example, in the last line of the dedication to Krishnamacharya,
yes,
Yogacharyam Krishnamaryam. So it's not changing before Guru Varyamaham Bhaje, the Anuswara.
So that's what we're supposed to do, right? Is not change.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's a name. Does everybody understand that? So normally I would have us do, and actually I might have made that mistake. So what we need to do is on that last line in dedication to Krishnamacharya, just exactly what Elizabeth did. Yogacharyam Krishnamaryam Guruvaryamaham bhaje. Thank you so much. Elizabeth has studied more than I have with Vedic chant teachers. And so I don't remember their saying that. So I'm glad that you brought that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's some other places it occurs, but if I think in the future, when we maybe go with that, when we go over it, then if we need to change it. I thought that you did it correctly. So.
Oh, okay, good. Well, yay.
Oh, anyhow.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyway, do you all understand what was just said? Does it make sense? Okay. Does anybody have anything you'd like to work on with that, Jan? Okay, then let's move on. Since I did introduce it to you, let's see how the Apavitra chant goes. So Biddy, this is something we worked on for the last couple of weeks. Apavitra pavitro va. So here we go. Om Apavitra pavitro va sarva vastangato piva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhahyabhyantara shuchihi apavitra pavitro va sarva vastangato piva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhahyabhyantara shuchihi. Are there any requests about this one? Anything you want to go over, or are we happy to move on? So give me a thumbs up if you'd like to move on. Otherwise, okay, good. I wanted to share with you something. I think some people have heard me say this, going back to the invocation that we did before Apavitra. And I want to share it to you because it was something that Menaka, Desikachar's widow, something she shared with me when I was fortunate enough to have a private session with her the last time she was in the States, in Santa Fe. She said, do you know the significance of Harihi Om? And I tried to translate it, said, oh, that's fine. But she said, no, the significance of that is that it is also a purification mantra. So she said that ha, that syllable ha is the blowing up of the getting rid of the impurities in our body by expelling them. So with that intention in mind, everybody say ha, ha, and have that H sound, that aspirate sound, come from the lower abdomen. Ha, ha. So that's the first gesture or the action of getting rid of the impurities, sending them out of the body. And then she said, Ri is to burn those impurities. And Ri is like Ra or Ram, which is a heating vowel, Ram or Ru, Ri. So Ri has to do with the burning of the impurities. So we have Ha, Ri. And then the Visarga at the end of Ri, which gives us Ri, that Hi is the blowing away of the ashes. So we have getting the impurities out of the body, burning them and blowing them away. So let's chant Harihi Om. Oh, and then she said, once we've chanted Harihi with that intention, then our vehicle is ready to chant Om because we've been purified. So with that intention, let's do that together. Harihi Om. I don't know that I ever would have bought into it if anyone other than Menaka Desikachar had explained it to me. It makes it very special. So thank you for that. Good. Now we're pure. Now we can start.
Leslie, I thought that was very special when you told us that in YTT, and that I always remember when you told us that. It's one of my favorite things. So it's special when you say it too.
Well, thank you. I guess it's a sacred residue from Menaka. So lucky us. Thank you, Patty. What was I going to say? Oh, Lisa had a request, and I have. The request was to chant with everybody one of the Yoga Sutras, and we won't spend too much time on it, but it's Sutra 229. Is that right, Lisa? I'm not sure where you are, but anyway.
Yeah, that's right, Leslie.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we'll chant that together. It's the naming of the 8 aspects of yoga. Om Yamani Yamasana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhayoshtavangani. So we'll break it down. Om, and then repeat after me. Yama, yama, niyama, niyama, asana, asana, pranayama, pranayama, pratyahara, pratyahara, dharana, dharana, dhyana, dhyana, samadhayaha, samadhayama, samadhayaha, ashtau, ashtau, angani, angani. So that last bit, if we blend it all together, ashtau, angani. Chant that. Ashtau, angani. There's a sandhi or a blending between ashtau and angani. So ashtau angani will change to ashtavangani. Ashtavangani. So now let's chant the whole thing fairly slowly, but linking everything together. Om Yamani Yamasana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhayoshtavangani. Okay. Is it perfect with everyone?
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome. Bhagavad Gita. Where did I put mine? Last week, we went to verses 16 and 17. Notice I don't number the pages for two reasons. Number one, all the verses are numbered, so why bother? But also, when they put the page number in, it takes away space, and then I might not be able to get the verses all in nicely. So that's one of the reasons too. And there we have it. Let's begin by chanting through without call and response. Let's just chant it together, 16 and 17, and then we'll actually begin with 18 and see how we do. Okay? And once we've completed doing something, if there are any strong feelings or requests, just, unmute yourself and speak up. So number 16, and actually I'll start with meaning again, just in case we didn't remember. Number 16. So now I happen to have Graham Schweig's book in front of me. Of the impermanent, one finds no being. One finds no non-being of the permanent. Indeed, the certainty of both of these has been perceived by seers of the truth. And then 17. Now, know that to be indestructible, by which all this is pervaded. Know that to be indestructible, by all this is pervaded. No one is able to bring about the destruction of the ever present. Okay, so here we go. All together. Om Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sattaha ubhayorapi drishtontas Tvanayostattvadarshibhihi avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidantatam vinashamavyayasya nakaschit kartumarhati. Were you able to make some sounds, good sounds with that? Shall we move on? Thumbs up to move on. Okay. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirinaha anashino, excuse me, anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. We'll do that again. Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Shall we do it line by line with call and response? My apologies for my voice. Got the tea here. And actually, it's probably a good idea to read a translation. So number 18, these bodies said to have an end belong to the embodied, which is eternal, indestructible and immeasurable. Therefore, fight, O Bharata. Om Antavanta ime deha. We'll repeat. Om Antavanta ime deha. Nityas yoktaha sharirinaha. See if you can hear a difference. I'm going to repeat it differently. Focus on that, the blending between yoktaha and sharirinaha. Nityas yokta sharirinaha. So I blended visarga with the sha. Nityas yokta sharirinaha. We'll put those two lines together. Om Antavanta ime deha Nityas yokta sharirinaha. Antavanta ime deha Nityas yokta sharirinaha. Moving on. Anashino prameyasya. Anashino prameyasya. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Anashino prameyasya. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Are you ready to chant the entire verse? Okay. Om, Om Antavanta ime deha Nityas yokta sharirinaha Anashino prameyasya Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Antavanta ime deha Nityas yokta sharirinaha Anashino prameyasya Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Shall we move to the next one? Okay. Om Ya enam vet veti hantaram. Sorry. Ya enam veti hantaram. Yashchainam manyate hatam. Ubhau tau na vijanito. Nayam hanti nahanyate. I'm going to make a change in the last line. See if you can hear it. Nayam hanti nahanyate. So I made that nasal sound at the end of nayam rather than at the lips, at the throat, because that's where hanti begins. Nayam hanti nahanyate. So we'll break this one down. Om Ya enam veti hantaram Yashchainam manyate hatam Ubhau tau na vijanito Nayam hanti nahanyate. Ya enam veti hantaram. Repeat that. Ya enam veti hantaram. Yashchainam manyate hatam. Yashchainam manyate hatam. Ubhau tau na vijanito. Ubhau tau na vijanito. Nayam hanti nahanyate. Nayam hanti nahanyate. Shall we chant both those verses together? Okay. Om Antavante ime deha nityas yokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata ya enam veti bhantaram yashchainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti nahanyate. Shall we move on? And or unmute yourself if you want to do anything that we've done before, particularly these two verses. If not, give me a thumbs up and we'll go forward. Okay. So now we've come to number 20 and it gets a different melody. Notice the asterisk, and the asterisk is placed by every verse that has 11 syllables per line. Om jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Graham Schweid's translation. It is unborn, eternal, everlasting, and primeval. It is not slain when the body is slain. Talking about that immortal aspect within us, that greater self. I'll break it down. Na jayate mriyate vakadachin. Na jayate mriyate vakadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha. Ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano. Ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. In the third line, there is a visarga. So if I could chant it faster, I might be able to do it. I would change that nityaha to a nityash, so it will blend right into the shashvato. However, if you decide to take a breath between those two, then you can leave it nityaha. Otherwise, it could be ajo nityash shashvatoyam purano. Try that with me. Ajo nityash shashvatoyam purano. But you notice I sped up because I have to do the line in all one breath, which is maybe easy for some, but not for me. Are there any questions on this verse or anything you'd like to say at all? Any requests?
Leslie, was this one of the verses we learned that's said at death or the funeral or something?
Yes, it's a popular one when someone has died at a funeral or a memorial service. And I did learn from Shubraji, but from others as well, that it was interesting on a talk she gave about the Maha Mrityunjaya, which is a chant to Lord Shiva. I've heard people try to do that chant, Triyambakanya Jamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. It's a chant to Lord Shiva, but according to Shubraji, some people, she says we're not supposed to chant that one at funerals. We can chant it before a meal, and my Sanskrit teacher, Dr. Sharma, would always chant it before getting in the car to go somewhere or before getting on an airplane. So he would always chant that. So it's to keep us in good health. Also, the Mrityunjaya mantra is also apparently can be chanted in hospitals when people need to get well, or during surgery when the idea is to get better rather than to die. But when death is imminent or after death, verses from the Bhagavad Gita or verses honoring Lord Narayana are more appropriate. So yes, we did one of these verses. We chanted that. And there's another one that's number 22. and maybe we'll get to it today, which is another popular one. Should we chant through verse 20 again one more time before we move on? Okay. And is there anything, I want to make sure everybody's happy just chanting it. If there is anything you want to go on specifically, we can do that too. Om Na jayate mriyate vakadachin na yam bhutva bhavita vanabhuyaha ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Shall we move on? Veda vinashinan nityam ya enamajama vyayam kathansa purusha partha kanghatayati hantitakam. This is interesting because it sort of encourages you to speed up and slow down. Let me just do the whole verse again. Veda vinashinan nityam ya enamajama vyayam kathansa purushaha partha kanghatayati hantikam. And in the third line, that blending sandhi could occur. Kathansa purusha partha kathansa purusha partha. Unless you need to take a breath, in which case just purusha partha, either one. So now line by line, call and response. Om Veda vinashinan nityam. Om Veda vinashinan nityam. Ya enamajama vyayam. Ya enamajama vyayam kathansa purusha partha kathansa purusha partha kanghatayati hantikam kanghatayati hantikam. So let's see if we can chant that verse. Om Veda vinashinan nityam ya enamajama vyayam kathansa purusha partha kanghatayati hantikam. Again. Veda vinashinan nityam ya enamajama vyayam kathansa purusha partha kanghatayati hantikam. Are there any comments, questions, desires, likes, dislikes? Did I read the translation? Sorry, I'm not remembering. Did not read. Thank you. So that is number 21. So he's asking a question here. How, Arjuna, how and whom does that person slay? How does that person slay? And whom does he slay, O Partha, son of Prati? And whom does that one cause to slay? So he's just saying, well, who would slay when the eternal self can't be slain? Something like that. And then let's go on to the translation of the next one. As a person abandoning worn out garments acquires other new ones, so the embodied is the supreme self. So the embodied, abandoning worn out bodies, enters other new ones. The self. This one is a particular favorite because Mr. Iyengar was said to have proclaimed to his family a day or so, or maybe a few days before he passed away. He said to them, please don't be so sad. I'm only changing my clothes. So he understood. And that's what this next chant is about. Are you ready to move on to number 22? Okay. It's another Trishtub one. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanyani sanyati navani dehi. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanyani sanyati navani dehi. So you'll notice at the end of the third line, I moved into the fourth line, jirnanyani. Now, if you needed to take a breath, we could just go, tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. But that's what that letter Y is all about. Jirnani, they are born, but jirnanyani sanyati navani dehi. We'll take this line by line. Om Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Oh, sorry. Anyani sanyati navani dehi. Do you notice how it's easy to get away with, I mean, to get carried away with the melody? I notice myself rocking. It's like a lullaby. It's hard for me to sit still during these chants, although it would be probably a good idea to sit still. Is there anything in any of these new verses that we've covered that you'd like to go over?
Leslie, would you just talk a little bit about the pronunciation of Krihnati? I feel like you're doing a lot there that we're not talking about.
Krihnati. Gr. So the G is in the throat, and then we have to move to position 3. The R with the dot under it, gr, that's really a vowel. Now, if fluttering the tongue is difficult, gr, this is a very interesting sound because we have a G followed by a R or R followed by a N. N. Let's take the H followed by the N with the dot under it. N with the dot under it means the tongue moves to position 3. So everyone say na, as in prana, na, 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 na. Now, if we take the H in before it, we just say, we'll put a ha in it and say hana, hana, hana. So now try to remove that letter A between the H and the na and say hna, hna. Can you do it? Just to any degree? Hna. Now we get, now for more fun, we get to add the things in front of it. So just say grr, like growl like a tiger, grr, grr, or a whatever, like our dog growls, grr. So grr, grr. And then after grr, we get grrna, grrna. Grr. But grr, grr, grr is the first syllable and na is the second syllable. Grhnati, grr, or grhnati. I beg your pardon. I believe grr. Yeah, I don't know why the heck it's there. And my sergeant book seems to have walked away for the moment. Grihnati, Grihnati. Navani, born. Vasansi Girnati. It's all about the clothing. Grihnati. Always use your abdomen with the letter H. That will help. Grihnati. Actually, it helps a lot with the grihnati.
According to Sargent, he seizes, he grasps, he takes.
Oh, great. Andy, could you say that louder and slowly?
Sure. It says he seizes, he grasps, he takes.
That's right. Gr. He seizes, grasps, he takes. Takes on, grasps, new clothing is what he's talking about. Or they take new clothes. Vasansi Girnani. And Girnani, the old, and Vasansi, old clothes. Vasansi Girnani, the old clothes. Is that right? So, Andy, since you have that book, how is he translating Vasansi and Girnani?
Garments and clothes and worn out and old.
Yeah, worn out and old. Vasansi Girnani. Yatha, whatsoever, as. And how is he translating vihaya?
Abandoning, casting away.
Yeah. So just as one casts away old clothes, I do not invite you to look into my closet, but anyway, but as one casts away old clothes and takes on, grasps new ones and puts them on, so the Supreme Self casts away the old worn out bodies and tries on a new body. So that's what Mr. Iyengar himself was talking about. I'm only changing my clothes. So everyone repeat that word grihnati. Let's just say it twice. Okay, I'll say it once and then we all do it twice. Grihnati, grihnati, grihnati. So we can always just slow down the chanting. Is there anything else? Was that helpful? I hope that was helpful, Patty. But thank you for pointing that out. Navani grihnati. Do you have the energy for one more chant and then we'll have done this page? Would you like to continue? Okay, and then we'll chant everything that we did anew today. And we're back to Anushtup, a verse that has 8 syllables per line. Om Nainan Chindanti Shastrani Nainan Dahati Pavakaha Na Chainan Kledayantiapo Na Shoshayati Marutaha Nainan Chindanti Shastrani Nainan Dahati Pavakaha Na Chainan Kledayantiapo Na Shoshayati Marutaha. Marutaha, the winds. And Mr. Graham Schweig. Weapons do not pierce it. Fire does not burn it. Chindandi, chid means to pierce. Nainan dahati, dahati means it burns. Pavakaha, the fire. Weapons do not pierce it, fire does not burn it, and water does not moisten it. Na chainang kledayantiapo, apo, there it is, apaha, water. Nor does wind wither it. Na shoshayati marutaha, shoshayati, cause to be withered. So we'll do call and response. Om Nainan Chindati, Nainan Chindanti Shastrani. Om Nainan Chindanti Shastrani. Nainan Dahati Pavakaha. Nainan Dahati Pavakaha. Now do it, those 2 verses again. Om Nainan Chindanti Shastrani. Nainan Dahati Pavakaha. Na chainang kledayantiapo. Na chainang kledayantiapo. Na shoshayati marutaha. Na shoshayati marutaha. On that last line, sometimes in Sanskrit classes, I like the students to exercise the sibilant sounds. So here's an opportunity to note the difference and to make a difference in sound between the isho. So everyone say isha, isha. Place the tip of your tongue, the very front of your tongue, down in the floor of your mouth to keep it from being utilized as we make that sound again. So tip of the tongue down, isha, isha. Can you feel that? So that's supposed to be, so that E and the sha is having the fat part or the broad part of the tongue moving up to the soft palate in position 2, just in front of where the jaw meets its, its joint there. But the next sound, the sha, that's the third mouth position, sha, where the tip of the tongue moves towards the hard palate, just behind the gums, which are behind the teeth, behind that ridge of the mouth. If you aim the tip of the tongue there, say sha, sha. And in order to access it more clearly, say r, say an R sound, sha, and then transform it into a sibilant sound. So we get sha, 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 sha. So in this fourth line here, we get to say sho sha. So say that. Sho sha. Sho sha. So now just say the whole line. Na sho shayati marutaha. Na sho shayati marutaha. Sho sha. It's, if we can get those details in, that differentiation, then we're really beginning to master the chanting, because there are important differences. And the only other thing I'd like to point out is on the first line, it's the chindanti. You'll note, and you may remember, there are some words that are spelled with just the C. The letter C always tells us to go ch, as in Chandra. But when it's accompanied with an H, there's a breath added to it, a mahaprana. So it's not chindanti, but it's chindanti. Could you hear that difference? So again, the only way I can do this is by supporting the sound by utilizing the lower abdomen. So it's chindanti. And then we can sort of rest the tongue at the teeth for the danti. And every time we have a double consonant that employs the da, da, if this helps you, I find it pleasurable. Danti. Just say that for a moment. Danti. Danti. When getting used to making these sounds, for me, it affords a bit of rest, because chanting can be hard work. But when there's that dun, 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 there's an opportunity to relax somewhat. So we end up with, let's just chant it together. Nainan chindanti shastrani, Nainandahati pavakaha, Nachainang kledayantyapo, Nashoshayati marutaha. I'll point out one more thing of interest to a serious Vedic chanter. All of the sibilant sounds are used in this chant. In the shastrani, we go from sha to sa, which is at the teeth, aiming the tongue towards the teeth. So we get to practice our sibilants. So before we chant it all the way through, is there anything we need to call and respond with these 4 lines. Are we good? Okay, let's chant through this. Om Nainan Chindanti Shastrani Nainan Dahati Pavakaha Na Chainang Kledayantyapo Na Shoshayati Marutaha. Are you ready to chant everything from number 19? Okay. Get your breath ready. Take a sip. Om Ya enam veti hantaram Yaschainam manyate hatam Ubhau tau navijanito Na yang hanti na hanyate Na jayate mriyate vakadachin Na yam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano Nahanyate hanyamane sharire Veda vinashinan nityam Ya enamajama vyayam Kathansa purusha partha Kanghatayati hantikam Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya Navani grihnati naroparani Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnan Nyanyani sanyati navani dehi Nainan chindanti shastrani Nainan dahati pavakaha Na chainang kledayantyapo Na shoshayati marutaha Na shoshayati marutaha. Repeating it in the end always makes me think of our beloved Dr. Sharma. I wish you all had met him. From the invocation, the Kshama Shlokaha. Well, before that, is there anything at all, any questions on all the verses we've covered today? It's very exciting, isn't it? To unpack this. Okay, then. Kshama Shlokaha. Yadaksharapada Brashtam Matrahinantu Yadbhavet Tatsarvang Kshamyatan Deva Narayana Namostute. Shrimate Narayanaya Namo Namaha. Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmanava Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yadyat Talam Parasmai Narayana Yeti Samarpayami Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Those of you who are familiar with Karpura Gauram, did you recognize the melody from when we did the Trishtu? Who is not familiar with Karpura Gauram? It's a chant to Lord Shiva. Ah, okay. One of the handouts, I can't remember which one. It is in one of the handouts. I'll send it to you again, but it's on Houston put out called Songs to Shiva. Puragavataram Sansara Saram Sadavasantam Hridayaravindeavani Sahitam Karpura Gauram, or white like the camphor, the incarnation of compassion. Karpura Gauram Karujagendraharam Bhujaga Indra, wearing the Lord of Serpents on his neck as a necklace. Bhavam Bhavani's. I honor the Lord of the universe, Shiva, and his consort, the lady of the universe, Parvati. So the masculine and the feminine aspects of the divine are honored in this chant of compassion. Vyasa's chanted it much more prettily than you just heard me do it. My apologies. Anyway, so is there anything to say before we adjourn? Kindly unmute yourselves.
Thank you, Leslie. This is really it's a lot, but we seem to be going through it in a way that is it's very helpful, and it gives us a chance to work with it a little bit, especially when you break it down, and then to be able to go back over it again then on our own. So I really appreciate how you're doing this.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's helpful for you. Yeah, good. I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see you. And so, yes, and I noticed, we covered quite a few verses. I was sorry that we only covered 2 last week, and I was determined to do more, but I hadn't expected to do all of these verses. But I do think that now that you're familiar with it, even if you don't know a verse, it comes a little more rapidly, don't you think? You think it's... Yeah. This is wonderful. And I'll just repeat what Bob Gilbo says. For him, it's the greatest book on depression, the Bhagavad Gita. I think it's so sweet what he says about that. So, Thank you so much. Always. It's a thrill. This is the high point of my week too. So
Yes, thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
have a wonderful week.
You too.
And thank you.
Welcome, Biddy.
Thank you. See you next time.
Okay. Good to see you, Sandra, always.
Thank you, Leslie. Same here.
How's Jack doing?
Oh, he's the same.
You're looking well.
Thank you.
Patty, thank you.
Thank you. I was just trying to find the Karpura Gautam. I know I have it some here.
I'll
I
find
have
it. I'll
in my
send it
binder.
to you.
It
that'd
has
be
to be in the
great.
shared drive. It must be in the shared drive. But I know I
Yeah.
have it. Like, I just remember even having like the notes written like white, like camphor. I remember reading that part that you said. I know I have it.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's in. I'll look for it too. I'll look for it now. Actually.
Yeah, if you just know the file name. But oh wait, I just found it. It says Invocation to Shiva. It's on the same page as Bhagarta Viva Sampriktau. That one.
Oh, that makes
That's on the
sense.
top, and then you have Karpura Gautam under that.
Perfect. Yeah, those are good ones.
So
So
Invocation to Shiva.
Bhagavad Gita, yeah, I didn't want to be insulting to Krishna, but I think in Hindu thought process, I think the gods don't get, well, I'm sure they get insulted, but I don't think we'd be insulting them if we, did a Lord Krishna thing there. I mean,
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
There's a great little book that I bought, just a tiny book that's all hymns to Shiva. So when we're done with when we're done with a certain part of Bhagavad Gita, maybe we'll do a few Lord Shiva chants too, because they're fun too.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. It's really, everything just comes back. Like even things from last week, I didn't practice this week at all, and like everything's just kind of settled in, and it's like there. It's very
great.
cool how that happens, and and then even when you just did Karpura Gautam, I remembered the whole thing.
Yeah.
We haven't done it in a long time, and I was like, oh, I remember all of it.
Yeah, that's great. The tongue has a great, it's a muscle memory. It's the tongue. The tongue
it's also so challenging when you first learn it. It's kind of like the torture of learning it makes you remember it forever, I guess.
Right. Oh gosh. Oh, wow.
So it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. So let me know how things are going with Winnie and with.
Yes, we practiced today.
If you want another session, just let me know.
Let me ask her, because we just got back. but I will ask her. She will probably say yes, because we were just practicing this morning, and then she's having nightmares the other night. And we did. So I was trying to get her to go back to sleep. And so I started doing the Ganesh mantra.
Oh, wonderful.
Quietly. And she fell right back to sleep. It was like like totally calmed her down. It was really nice.
That's wonderful.
Really sweet. Yeah. So
maybe even Karpura Gautam would work nicely.
Yeah, definitely. I think she also knows it, so she could say it in her own head, so it gets her mind off of whatever the nightmare was, because she's like focused on the words.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the whole point of a mantra, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, welcome home and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Can't thank you enough, Patty. We really started something, didn't we?
It's really wonderful. It really is. That was such a nice email from Val. I still have to reply, but that was just so nice. She's such a lovely writer, isn't she?
Yeah.
She has a nice way of writing.
Yeah. I'm just thank you so much always for doing this. And, the Bhagavad Gita, because it's printed out and we have it in front of us, I keep telling myself I should prepare, but then I don't. And then I come in cold, but there it is right in front of us and it's fine.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then like the other things that we're learning too, that's, you know, the invocations, we have them,
Yeah.
but I don't think we need a new thing every week, especially when we're working on so much new stuff.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear you say that. You know,
Yeah.
there's always an element of doubt, you know, but because I almost went back to the guru shlokas, you know, but and every now and then I'll introduce a new one. Every time we go to it, I'll go to a new verse. But if people are happy with the Bhagavad Gita right now, and
I think we're in now, it's like there's no turning back. We've gotten this far.
yeah,
We start, you know, we're on a roll now. But
yeah,
it's like before you know it, we'll actually get through the whole chapter, I think. And then
yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to see what happens when we try to go the whole the whole thing through, you know?
yeah.
How long will that take, do you think?
Great. Yeah.
How long would that take?
If I didn't know if you have a copy of that recording that Vyas Houston does, but it's really, that's how I learned it.
Well, I'll have to get that. I think
Your
they were just
husband has
having
a CD
sale.
player.
Yes.
Your husband has a CD player, right? Maybe I could send you a CD copy of it. I might have an extra one. I should send it to you.
Yeah, if you have an extra one, or I'll come pick it up or whatever.
Okay.
I can listen to it in the car because I have a CD player in the car.
Or I could purchase a download and treat you to it, but I'm not sure how to do that from my,
Oh, don't,
you know.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't go
Oh,
through
that's
any
right, because your
technical
car is a
headaches.
CD player. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, my car does too. But all the new cars, I guess, are not having them anymore, right?
I know. I don't really like new cars. I just like to keep my same car forever.
Yeah.
I've always been like that. I don't like to get a new car. Just like everything the same, just leave it.
You like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And, I will let you know about Winnie.
Okay. Yeah. Tell her hi.
I will. I will.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.